You're listening.
I just don't care.
No one is ever kidding Michael Cole.
Of course he can roll a grudge forever. This is wrestling.
Welcome back to This Is a Work. My name is David Hensley. I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am here tonight to introduce your host, Robert, the distinguished gentleman Brafford.
Thank you, David. Welcome all of you to where we're recording at Kayfabe Outpost 1, here with my tag team partner, Chris, the Fashion Plate Barnes.
Help me.
Chris, it is the first pay-per-view of the new year. Sorry, premium live event, as discussed on Twitter. Sorry, X.
That's not a real phrase. That's something a narc would say.
I was hoping that when Vince went, that phrasing would go, but it seems like it's held on a little longer.
Into the fire with all of it.
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned to you when we were on our way over here, there was the show, Royal Rumble 2024.
And then there was the pre-show.
Yeah, there was everything that happened the week before and everything that's happened since. It's kind of a lot of stuff just outside the actual wrestling.
What fucking timing, huh? Just the week of the Royal Rumble going in. They get the announcement. A couple days prior, Raw is coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
Broadcasting on Netflix in 2025.
$5 billion deal reportedly over the next.
Netflix will internationally take over all of WWE stuff, and in the States and just basically North America, Raw and some other stuff is going to be. Oh, and that Vince McMahon documentary is going to be finishing up soon.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to have to add a few title cards on the end.
They might have to add a few things at the end, yes, because the day after that...
Yeah, it was revealed by... court documents were filed by a woman who alleged that she had been sex trafficked by Vince McMahon.
She had been previously paid off and had been forced to sign an NDA.
Yeah.
To a non-disclosure agreement to stay quiet. But apparently...
Vince decided to cheap out on that because...
Which is weird because it's less than apparently what a previous payout that he had done.
Yeah, people are looking at like the financials and the details of... because the NDAs are still active, but people are looking at like $7.5 million for one. He reimbursed the company for like $17.5 million for investigations and compensation on another one. It's really scary to think that, like, just after reading the allegations in here, to be like, oh dear God, if this is the $3 million stuff, what was he covering up for $7.5 million?
Yeah, and if people were like, how bad could it be? Well, that filing had screenshots of a lot of text messages that she had saved. And it's like, and increasingly desperate people were like, well, those could be fake. It was like, no, not if you pull them from the provider.
Yeah, and you don't want to say something like, oh, well, it was just, or it was only in the context of something like serial sexual abuse.
Especially after you've seen some of these.
Right, but even by the standards of these lawsuits, which are kind of, as a rule, horrible, this one's really horrible.
She was at the very least pimped out.
Yeah, and... in fact, one person who was going to be on this show turned out to not be on this show because
that's weird. Suddenly, someone wasn't going to be appearing on the show because it was very clearly. They were very clearly mentioned as being an accomplice in all of this.
Yeah. Now hold on. Now we don't know that it was them specifically. It could be any wrestler who's a former MMA, UFC champion who was coming back to WWE in the mid 2015s.
Right.
And had a championship run in 2019 with a number of what were described as David versus Goliath style matches.
Sure. Yes.
So could be anybody.
Anyone, yeah.
Anyone at all. I got nothing. Yeah.
Dartboard, yeah.
We're going to need a sharper detective to solve this mystery. But yeah, so the seemingly impossible happened, and Vince McMahon has fully resigned. He is not just... because, that was the story in 2022, that he'd stepped down from, like, involvement in the company and creative, but still maintained a position on the board.
But in a supremely wrestling way, what actually sparked the meeting that forced him out finally was Slim Jim apparently picked up the phone and said, yeah, if he's still there, we're pulling our deal.
Which was apparently the biggest sponsorship deal in the company's history, so I'm sure that phone call got taken pretty seriously.
I'm going to say the joke I have been throwing around every time is, need a little accountability? Snap into a Slim Jim. Yeah, but if you saw the show, you noticed they came back because they did actually boot McMahon, and for the first time in basically ever, no McMahon was actively running WWE or in any way, shape, or form.
There is a McMahon in law still in charge of sort of the creative side of things, but nope, no Shane, no Stephanie, no Vince, no Linda.
Unless you believe the accusations that Bruce Pritchard is going to continue running things.
Well, that's the thing that people were immediately saying was like, well, TKO came out and said, or they said the best thing for TKO to do, and I think they have kind of pledged to do this, is they're going to try and trace it back to everyone who was in any way in the know in this and sweep them out.
Because these allegations are not like, oh, Vince was at a hotel a weekend somewhere and this stuff. This was inside the corporate office. These were people, high-level executives, some of them involved, some of them being told about it and doing nothing.
This unfortunate one who was put in a very vulnerable position, was almost like technically the corporate whore.
That was how Vince saw her, as the report.
Not to disparage her, but that's basically what she was used as, unfortunately.
Yeah. If even half of this stuff is true, it is impossible that large numbers of people at the corporate offices could not have known this was happening.
She was like she was the on-call girl.
When Vince stepped down after the Wall Street Journal investigation, there was an internal investigation, I think, headed up by Stephanie McMahon, that, according to the lawsuit, never even interviewed this woman.
No.
So, yeah, there's both the people who did it, there's the people who knew and did nothing, there's the people who said they would investigate and then chose not to.
Also, it's important to note, while it could be anyone else who was associated with this, the only person who seemed very upset that Vince was bounced the first time and stopped showing up was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that...
allegedly.
Yeah, he's not looking good in this, and... all the horrible real-world implications aside, I actually think that made for a better Rumble. And that's not just me hating Brock Lesnar in kayfabe, because I'd actually just come around to liking the guy in kayfabe, and then this comes out. So... You
now have the perfect excuse to be, well, that just proves any pet theory I had about not liking him. You can just dust him off forever.
Exactly. All right. Well, I don't think we need to spend the whole podcast rehashing it, but it would just kind of not be possible to talk about this show. And maybe afterwards we can mention the press conference that followed up on it. But that is the context in which this is happening. That in some ways WWE has made huge financial and business steps towards what its next 10 years are going to look like, while also leaving a giant chunk of its identity behind in the dust, one hopes permanently. And yeah, and all that, let's watch people throw each other out of a ring.
Yeah, some people seem sad about this, and it's just like, if you knew anything about Vince McMahon before hearing this, it's just like, good, fuck him.
Yeah, there's never really been
a clean picture of Vince McMahon.
And people are showing like clips of, Punk's pipe bomb promo or like the Stone Cold Mr. McMahon feuds. Like, yeah, these guys were telling us, and it's like,
that was in character.
Right. No, that was Vince wrote that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
he knew they were going to say shit like that.
Yeah, you guys have to understand, nothing ever happened on a WWE camera that Vince McMahon didn't allow. Until now.
Yeah,
we're finally free. We're charting our brave new destiny.
Oh, not to forget, John Laurinaitis needs to be under that bus too.
I didn't have a high opinion of that guy just from the way he did business, but man, it really sounds like he was literally right there in the room doing all this stuff along with Vince. So again, if the investigation, yeah,
possibly literally.
If this if the investigation turns up even like a fraction of veracity in all this, wow, people need to go to prison.
Oh yeah, straight to jail.
Well, but let's leave that behind. Let's go out of the realm of controversy, out of the realm of just relics that drag up bad memories and painful times, and start off with Royal Rumble. What do we have?
I thought we were going to talk about wrestling.
Let's see. I don't know if we got a video package with Hulk Hogan. God, son of a...
Let's start the show with racist grandpa.
Yeah, I really, of all the things that they cut and snipped last minute to try to, limit their exposure on this, I'm kind of amazed that they didn't get Titus O'Neil or somebody to come in
Did
and
you
just...
know prior to this show, there were 3 people who'd won the Rumble back-to-back. Hulk Hogan,
Yep.
Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
3 non-problematic individuals.
Yeah, but they chose the most problematic to put the video package on. Well, I know why. Again, we're heading into 40 years of WrestleMania.
Right.
So we're going to see him again, folks.
Yes, we are. So, one other quick note is after we get the intro video package with Hulk Hogan, we do get a fun bit where Pat McAfee comes out to join Cole and Graves on commentary. Good to see him back. I understand he's kind of a tool out in the real world, but he's fun on the mic.
I don't know. I guess he kind of weirdly enough he grates on me a little bit. I personally am. I could take or leave him, but he's more energetic, which is great for the show.
Yeah, I think they've had too many kind of I don't know. Corey Graves on color commentary has never really worked for me. He just doesn't seem like he's worked up enough about it.
He can sneak in some slide digs every so often, but I think I get why Pat McAfee is out there, even if I don't like him.
So we open up with the Women's Royal Rumble match, and interesting they clarified on this, and I actually would have changed my bets on Wrestle League if I'd realized this was the stakes. They don't just say that you get a title shot if you win the Royal Rumble, you get a main event slot for winning Royal Rumble. They mentioned that during the match specifically. So, yeah, that was partly where I was thinking, because when I made my pick for who I thought was going to win, it was a little bit in the context of okay, the winner of this isn't necessarily going to be the person who's main eventing either night.
Well, that's weird because I know enough from Raw. I don't have the results, but I know enough from Raw to know that Cody is being allowed to choose who to challenge.
He's being allowed to choose, with the idea being that he could, in theory, choose somebody besides Roman to main event WrestleMania against. Which,
I see.
Again, that's in kayfabe. He's got that choice. It's not really something that I think anybody's holding their breath over. But yeah, so I'm just going to go through kind of the entrance numbers, and feel free to, and we might stop as people come up.
Sure.
So we open up with Natalia at number 1, and number 2 is a returning Naomi, formerly Trinity of TNA.
A surprise straight out of the gate,
Yeah, so there obviously been a lot of talk that she was coming back. It seemed like fairly quickly WWE was trying to rebuild that bridge after she and Sasha Banks left a couple of years ago.
Looked great. I missed the glow.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's just so much fun in the ring. She had her name was dyed into the color of her hair.
That was so cool.
Just had that neon green outfit. Just good to see her back.
I will say I do appreciate once the match started proper and was going for a while, they started keeping timers on who had been in the longest and for how long.
Yeah, that was a cool thing. Cool thing to share. Just who's crossed 30 minutes, who's crossed 45. When Naomi comes out, big pop, huge reaction from the crowd. Don't get used to those.
Now, some people on Twitter had a theory, and I kind of agree. There's a very generification of a lot of people's themes,
right?
Where it's to the point I was there's this sudden blast of music. Who is that? I have to keep my eyes on a tortoise. I got to keep my eye peeled on a screen so I can see a name pop up. It's that. Okay.
Apart from a few Cody's music, Punk's music, where there's just the instant recognition. Yeah, a lot of it is you've got to wait. But it did kind of hurt the crowd energy on a lot of the card.
Little bit.
So Naomi comes out at number 2. She and Natalya go at it for a bit. Then we have number 3, Bayley of Damage Control. Candice LeRae, number 4. And number 5, another surprise, Jordynne Grace.
Straight from TNA. Apparently they worked that deal out a week prior. Yeah,
reportedly even people like Naomi, who she'd been working with till recently, did not know till she showed up at rehearsal a day or two before.
Yeah, and apparently this is different from the Mickie James thing, because Mickie James apparently had a handshake agreement with TNA.
Right.
Jordynne Grace is contracted with them.
Right, and with Mickie, it was also, she was a WWE legend, so it's sort of, this person coming back. With Jordynne, you've got a new case where somebody's coming into WWE. It's not a debut. She's not, like you said, she's contracted with TNA. This isn't her coming over full time.
And she had never really worked in WWE before. She had come up through the indies and been in TNA and a few other places.
Yeah, so she comes out. She's wearing her TNA Knockouts Championship belt. Commentary acknowledges the belt. They acknowledge the company TNA, and as she's walking down, they even mention she won it off of Naomi in a match that happened on TNA. So we are in all kinds of
And-
uncharted territory.
Yeah, and WWE's Twitter account proper tweeted out that it's like Jordan Grace makes an impact. It's like
Yeah.
they went full out with promoting it. So.
And I got to say, if this was, for probably a lot of WWE viewers, the first time they got to see her work, I think she looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, they let her shine.
Yeah, she did not actually get any eliminations, but still.
But her and Bianca going at it was great.
Yeah, a lot of great power spots. I think one of my favorites was, I think it's her. No, it wasn't her and Bianca. It was her and Ivy Nile. But they each grab another woman in the ring and put them in a delayed suplex and are just holding them up. And Jordan Grace even lets go of one arm and just is holding that person. I think she had Candice LeRae just 10, 15 seconds. So, yeah. Great to see her on WWE television, and nice that door is creaking open, even if Triple H is needlessly petty about not calling it the Forbidden Door.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see. She shows up number 6, Indy Hartwell. Number 7, Asuka, which was apparently not a happy surprise for Bayley. She thought she was going to be the only member of Damage Control coming into the match. And, okay, but they become an awkward team. Number 8, Ivy Nile. Number 9, Katana Chance. Okay, I'm going to pause here. What is going on with women's names coming out of NXT? What is that? I
don't know. I think that was a rebrand for her too, because I think she had been under a different name.
Her actual name is Casey Catanzaro, and that's what she was wrestling as. And they made her Katana Chance.
I feel like she came up with that to cut off even more racist options.
Maybe, but I'm just like looking at the names of people, and you've got Ivy Nile, also another one. What is? It just feels okay. Obviously, WWE's whole thing is you do not get to keep your name. You don't even get to pick the fake name that you might have showed up here with. We're giving you our own fake name that we own that you can't take with you when you leave.
Unless you've got enough pull outside these walls, your name will be different coming in.
Yeah, but it just feels like it's getting in, like it's become some dark joke to like come up with the most bad James Bond parody female name they can come up with, because yeah, or like later on we get Alba Fire, who was formerly Kaylee Ray. Just I don't even know.
Well, I think that's a little better than just Kaylee Ray, but
It sounds to me like somebody's abusing the D&D character name generator.
yes.
A little bit. Anyway, I like Ivy Nile, like Katana Chance a lot as performers, but saying their names out loud just makes me feel a little bit dumber. Number 10, Bianca Belair. Number 11, Kairi Sane. Number 12, Tegan Knox. Number 13, Caden Carter. Number 14, Chelsea Green. Number 15, Piper Niven. And
Chelsea Green had one of the best running bits in the whole thing.
I think I know what you're talking about.
She kept getting landed on.
Yes, one of the best bits when Nia Jax shows up and she and Piper Niven are having the the power against power spot. Piper managed to shove her back into the corner, but Chelsea's already there, so Nia slams into her.
Every time she was collateral damage.
And Piper seems to think for a second and then just decides, well, got to go for it, and starts like spear tackling Nia as Chelsea Green just ragdolls behind her with every hit, and just a great bit of like.
I'm glad they've repackaged Piper Niven. I don't know why she's wearing Awesome Kong's ring gear.
Right. A little weird.
But it's cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, they gave her a name back. I'm good with that for right now. Yeah, my rant on weird women's names would have been a lot longer if she was still going by Dewdrop.
Yeah, Shelby and Gina aren't here. I won't kick that dead horse. I mostly just love irritating the shit out of them whenever it comes to Piper Niven. It's
incredible that there's just Dewdrop. I don't.
It's kind of like Bearcat Lee. Like I think she said, like, oh, I had some input in it. It made sense to me.
If there had been a clear running theme with the name that could have strung something together, yes. But just calling someone Dewdrop, no.
Yeah, like you had a name yesterday. We all know you had a name, but now you're just Dewdrop. But it makes sense because you're partnered with Eva Marie? ?
No.
I don't know. Yeah. It's not even like, Sarah Logan comes back and she's Valhalla because she's with the Viking Raiders. Okay, still kind of dumb, but that makes sense. She's Viking name, Viking team.
She's gotten really into Norse stuff. You have to call her Valhalla now. That's all she'll respond to.
I feel a little bad for her, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, yeah, so let's see. Piper Niven, 15. Xia Li, 16. Comes out with 2 really cool hook swords.
She looked great. I loved it.
And then she drops them, which, I mean, no
Why
rules.
wouldn't
Yeah,
I
no rules says
complained
you
about
can't.
that? I complained about that when we were watching it. I was like, "Why did you drop the swords? Take them with you. It's legal.
Yeah.
Make people jump out of the ring to avoid being cut."
Yeah.
Or cut them. I mean,
Yeah,
If you cut the top rope, it's impossible for them to eliminate you. They can't throw you over it.
that just opens a whole different can of worms.
I'm waiting, similar to like Cena and Batista going out together by accident or something. I would love to see that actually happen, like a malfunction. The top rope goes up, and they've got to figure out some way to do the rest
Yeah,
of the
but now
Rumble.
Vince isn't around to tear his quads angrily walking to the ring anymore.
There was a time when I felt bad and rejoicing in how funny that man's pain was. I don't know why.
No, it's great. No. I mean, now there's no secret as to why, because you know everything, every terrible thing he was doing outside of the cameras. It's like it's great watching terrible things happen to him.
Yeah. What's crazy is, just stepping away for a second, watching the mainstream media cover this, and I should imagine how many reporters who were used to covering like scandals of like Sam Bankman-Fried or whoever are going to look up and like, Vince McMahon, what's his history? And, is this him shoving a guy's head into his butt on national TV?
I forget who, but someone kind of prominent said, it basically suggested to whoever is covering this for the major papers, put the person who has the most wrestling knowledge on it, because otherwise, it's, you know, you're not going to be able to drill down as hard on Vince McMahon's misdeeds if you don't.
Yeah, and it's not just like, oh, you need to know, who was the champion in 2003 or what. It's like you just need to know something about how this industry and this business works,
Yeah.
because he's played a huge part in shaping it in this country. And so, like, to just think, oh, he's a guy who runs a business, same as somebody who owns a movie studio or like Jeff Bezos even, or it's just like the control this guy has over the landscape of this.
Wrestling is full of slimy con men and crazy people, and he's the king of that mountain.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. After Xylee, 17 is Zelina Vega, who comes out with a cool, like, I think that was Overwatch or something.
I think it was Mercy
from?
inspired. That was my guess. But it's something. It's one of those type of games. I know that much.
Yeah. Number 18, Maxine Dupree, who I felt a little bad for, because apparently she did not have a lot of wrestling experience when she got to the main roster. So commentary talks up how she's been in Alpha Academy with Chad Gable and been training and really getting a lot better. She comes in and tries to do that airplane spin with Bailey, and God bless Bailey for turning and trying to get her all the way to the end, but she...
Yeah, they both tried. Maxine tried, and thankfully the Rumble is the kind of place that can minimize how bad a performance can be.
And from there on, she mostly had comedy spots, like trying to like grab Piper Niven's foot, just like tossing herself around it. But yeah, number 19. So speaking of minimizing spots, Nia Jax comes out. I will say by this point, Jordynne Grace has been eliminated. I thought they actually paced out fairly well, like when the powerful people were in.
Yes.
So Jordynne, just real quick, her elimination spot, even though she doesn't get any eliminations herself, to get her out, she and Bianca fight their way to the apron, and Bianca hits her with a KOD on the ring apron to bounce her outside.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just like...
It's a brutal move anywhere. It's especially brutal on the ring apron.
Yeah, that made her look like an absolute beast. So... Nia Jax comes in and just becomes
She jaxes it up, yes.
Again, has some good spots, some decent power moments, but
I'm not attributing any of that to her first. I'm sorry.
Yeah, most of it's things like how good Chelsea Green is at selling the ragdoll. She overhead presses Katana Chance out of a ring, which would be more impressive if Katana Chance weighed more than like 65 pounds.
Yeah, no, she was bullying that tiny child.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, Katana's, she's not just short like Alexa Bliss or Nikki Cross is short. Right. She's just, like, tiny. She's, like, a normally proportioned person, but she's, like, shrunk by 60%.
I feel like you guys are not really putting the respect on Casey Catanzaro that she deserves. That woman was a winner on goddamn American Ninja Warrior.
Oh. No, that's very impressive.
She used to date Ricochet. I mean, I could imagine those two just, like, doing backflips off each other as a way of saying hello when they got home. Like... Incredible athlete.
I'm so glad that's where you went with that.
Yeah. To see the rest, you'll have to subscribe to my my paid fan fiction page.
No.
Come on, I'm trying to get this off the ground. Let's see. Speaking of paid fan fiction, next up, Shotzi and Becky Lynch, who feature heavily in my upcoming 3-part epic. No, I'm going to drop this bit.
Thank you.
Shotzi does actually come back out in her tank.
I could stand to hear more.
Shotzi returns in her tank. Her hair is back, which is nice.
Yes.
I think she cut it in sympathy with, I think her sister was undergoing chemo.
Yeah.
But she's letting it grow back out.
Again, got out of the tank for some reason.
Right, just stand out there and fire from the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a fixed artillery position. Becky Lynch, 21. 22, Alba Fire. 23, Shayna Baszler, who just does enough to get me excited that she's going to get to have a really good showing and then gets kind of tossed out unceremoniously.
She might get to do more in the future now that Vince is gone. Apparently, what was holding her back more often than not was Vince thought she was too ugly.
That's a very Vince attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so number 23 is Shayna Baszler. Number 24, the music hits and out comes Valhalla. But wait, who's that coming out behind her? It's R-Truth running past her.
It's time for the Rumble. He's got to get into the Rumble. It's his number.
Yeah, he runs past her, looks a little confused, but trucks onto the ring.
I'd like to point out in a bit on the pre-show, he was in a batting cage, and he was trying to crack open. Apparently, he was like, these are the balls that have the numbers in them. I got to crack these open and get a better number. He was holding regulation-sized baseballs or softballs. It was one of the two, and he was just telling. I forget who was doing the interviewing. I think it was the guy who looks like John Benjamin but isn't.
Oh yeah. I visualize him.
Yeah. But he was wandering around talking to people in the backstage, and Truth was just trying to crack open baseballs to get a better Rumble number. He must have found one somewhere because he came out here.
But so he jumps into the rings, comes face to face with Nia Jax, and is very confused.
Yes.
Audibly shouting, "Where are the guys?" Nia, quote unquote, eliminates him. At which point Adam Pearce has chased him down to the ringside. Yells at him and tries to like shoo him back up the ramp.
And while Antler is watching, I'm sorry, not Antler. Valhalla wears antlers.
Yeah.
While she was watching all of that, she gets eliminated because she's not paying attention.
She climbs in and gets thrown out after I think 3 or 5 seconds. And again, the camera's like close on Truth and Adam Pearce as they're walking, and behind them we see her trying to like reach at him over the referees.
Officials catch her from lunging and trying to go after him.
Yeah, there were some very fun camera work spots in this. I can only assume that because Kevin Dunn is gone and they burned Sage and all of the editing trucks that were.
Now I'm wondering is like, what did he know if he resigned voluntarily? Because he resigned. Just a couple weeks ago.
Did he resign?
He resigned, it turns out. He left.
Okay. Couldn't remember how that one had gone down. But yeah, so number 25, continuing the ridiculous names, Michin.
Well, that's Mia Yim.
Right.
She is now called Michin.
Yes, because
fuck you.
I think she was teamed up with AJ Styles, which is why she has apparently a Korean pet name.
Yeah.
Now.
They've tried to repackage her a few times now, but so hopefully this one sticks or becomes something good.
If only they'd kept her in Retribution. That act was fire.
I think she was the one who saw the writing on the wall and immediately knew this wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, her and Mercedes Martinez. Number 26, Zoe Stark. Number 27, Roxanne Perez. Number 28, we have the WWE debut of Jade Cargill.
That's right, yes.
Showing up, her name, same gear as AEW. And I'm just kind of going to point out that between her and Cody, maybe it's time to put that AEW can't build stars thing to bed because
they seem to want to present them exactly how they looked in AEW.
Yeah, there's not any particular need to explain who she is or what she's doing there. She's not coming out as like, I don't know, Ferrari Rafters or something. I came up with a car name and then looked at something within eye shot, but you can't tell me that's more work than they put to this in NXT.
I like that one. It got Dave good.
But no, yeah, she comes out and the crowd's pretty hot for it. She makes it into the ring and immediately gets the power spot of throwing out Nia Jax, which
yay! Oh, they made a big show. It was like because she pretty much effortlessly picked her up, slammed her, and got her out of the ring. Yeah.
Like she, I think, powered out of a fireman's carry and then just
pretty
slammed her once, picked her up, and hoisted. Because they had the big spot earlier where everybody ganged up to try to throw Nia unsuccessfully.
The Andre spot, yeah.
And then,
the Andre Big Show spot, I should say.
And then Jade comes in and just gets it on her own. So
I'd like to make a quick point about Nia Jax, and maybe this is just me projecting, but did it look to the two of you like the heat she was getting was not like heel heat?
No.
Like we actually hate you heat.
It was go away heat, yeah.
Yeah, that's been a thing she's had for a while. Although I've heard decent things about this run. Apparently she and Becky had a singles match on Raw a couple weeks ago that was pretty good, start to finish. It's kind of finally calling back to their. Speaking of Becky, another great camera moment. After Nia gets thrown out, we get a shot of Jade in the ring standing and just like kind of looking proud of what she's done. The camera just pans back and we see Becky standing next to her with this open mouth, just
hell
shocked
yeah
look.
kind of looking.
That just morphs into a huge delighted smile.
It was more great camera / character work.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And just eventually she and Jade start throwing down a little bit, but it was a great bit of like, oh my gosh, I like you.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, it was like, all right, that was cool.
Yeah. So let's see. Then, all right, number 29, Tiffany Stratton from NXT. Came in kind of late. Didn't get a lot to do, but I mean, what she had, she showed off really well.
You mean like her lungs?
Yeah.
She wouldn't stop screaming.
She is quite audible. But yeah, her senton was the flip is the swanton, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, swanton. She eliminates Roxanne and then gets another one of those pragmatic spots that you think people would do all the time. I think Bianca tries to eliminate her off the apron, and Tiffany just grabs her braid and holds on to it, and is just dangling at like a 90-degree angle off the ring apron, holding on to Bianca's braid. And it doesn't work for her because then I think Becky comes up and kicks Bianca, so they both hit the floor. And finally, our number 30 entrant is a returning Liv Morgan, fresh off her spree of debauchery and her wild crimes. I hope she feels bad about that. Was it 2 ounces of weed and a pen that was in her car?
She had one of them jazz cigarettes.
Oh, man. Just smoking all that reefer.
The devil's lettuce.
Mm.
I just want to think of more old-timey euphemisms for marijuana. She ate one weed.
She did. It actually was kind of, I mean, I'm sure that was not a fun encounter for her, but it was.
I think it got thrown out because it was just like basically like enough for personal use, and it was just like, this is not even worth prosecuting.
Right.
Yeah.
But even when like it came out that she'd been arrested, like the immediate coverage was like, nobody backstage is upset with her about this. Nobody thinks this is a problem. But yeah, so we come down to our final 3 in the match. Not a final 4 because you have Bianca and Tiffany going out together. So the final 3 are Bayley, who at this point has been in the match for an hour.
It was funny because Naomi had been in there and had just gotten eliminated. She had set the record.
Yeah. And then Bayley just hangs on for just long enough to creep past her. So they're now the number 1 and number 2 longest time in a Rumble in the women's division.
Royal Rumble. Yeah, the women's Royal Rumble.
I like the ending spot of this where all 3 are out on the apron and Jade's kind of trapped between Liv and Bayley, who are just trying to beat her down and get her off, and she's just powering her way back up, hit one, turn to the other, and she almost makes it, but Liv does this super risky spot to like spin her off into, it was like a modified DDT kind of.
Yeah.
So Jade hits the floor, Liv hits the apron, stays on, and then Bayley just nudges her off with her boot.
Nudges her right off, and she is a winner.
Yes. Bayley has won a Royal Rumble and will be going to WrestleMania, which is a little awkward because, as they reminded us with some backstage shots, one women's title is held by Rhea Ripley, the other is held by her Damage Control teammate, Io Sky. So
I don't know. That doesn't seem like it's a difficult thing. They've been getting along like aces.
Everything went great in that Survivor Series War Games match. Yeah, no, that great ending. Good to see Bayley finally get this. She's kind of felt underappreciated for a lot of her heel run. I'd say her run in general for the last few years, but especially this whole and the story of Damage Control just kind of moving along without her. And her becoming sympathetic as she just sort of tries to stay relevant in this group is actually a pretty smooth turn into where they're going. So yeah, she was. I thought Jade was going to win if she debuted. I thought my pick for this was Jade, but looking at it and where they're going, Bayley feels like a great call for this.
No, yeah, and it's not like Jade looked great for a debut. This was an awesome way to do it.
Yeah.
And in the kind of way where she loses, but it's not like it's like again, it's not like a 3 count. It's not like shoulders pinned to the mat. It was happenstance. You know, it's the kind of chaos where you can debut someone and they don't lose anything by losing.
Yeah, it's similar to like Gunther's performance last year, where it's just like, he starts at 1, he doesn't win it, but you just look at what he accomplished.
You immediately gain a lot of respect because he hangs in for the whole match.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where they go with Jade, because it seems like they're setting up Bayley versus Io at WrestleMania, and then Rhea and Becky. So whether Jade's, at this point, it seems like they've called the shot with her enough that she's got to be a pretty regular fixture going forward. So either we see a non-title match.
I think I realized something. Like, I'm betting it'll be a title match, but I'm betting it's like I guess this means that her title match is guaranteed to be the main event.
Yeah, so Bayley and whoever she challenges will main event, presumably night 1 of WrestleMania.
Yeah, night 2 is the Roman match.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. It's like I'm sure they could work that another way, but it's like that's just what it seems like to me. Hopefully.
I'm trying to remember if the last time that you had a Royal Rumble winner who wasn't the main event. I feel like it's gone that way the last couple of times, but that's generally been the way it goes. But this time they just announced that was officially how it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I liked it overall. A lot of really great spots. I do feel like it got a little slow in the middle. Like the eliminations, it felt like backlogged or backjammed a little bit.
I don't know. I think you're right, but I think on the plus side of this show being just 4 matches, two of them being Royal Rumbles, was they were allowed to breathe a bit more with these matches. Now they might have had the other issue where they maybe took it a little too long, but at least they had the time to pace things out more. Yeah. Because they're like stacking a card with 2 Royal Rumbles plus other matches.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think they handled this well. I wouldn't have minded seeing Rhea or Io defend their titles on the show, just have a singles women's match on the card, but
I think ultimately they had the matches they needed to have on the card. Yeah.
I was looking over some other just numbers on this because it was fun to sort of poke around the history and statistics of the Royal Rumble. I feel bad for Valhalla because either under that name or as Sarah Logan, she has 3 of the 10 shortest time in the Rumble slots for women. She's for 3 of her Rumble appearances, she's been in there for less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's see. She's tied with Chelsea Green, who got immediately eliminated in 2022 and was in there for like only 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. They had a fun spot with that where Chelsea got knocked off the apron and Piper was there to catch her.
Yep.
And then joked like she was going to like,
nah, you can get back in.
Yeah. I love Piper. I want to see more of her going forward.
Good. And I enjoy that dynamic of like when you're good enough friends to just kind of try and fuck with them.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. I'll put you back in. It's fine.
All right, so yeah, overall, I gave it 3 3/4. The right winner. A lot of the debuts looked really strong. A little slow in the midsection, but when it picked up at the end, it was great. And
then 2K24 did her dirty. That was my.
Oh no.
I referenced that when I said "help me" at the beginning. 2K24, WWE 2K24 congratulated her on her win and put a graphic up of her in-game model, and it looked terrible. And Bayley's response was, "Help me!"
Oh. Well, let's see. So yeah, a lot of people were thinking we'd see Sasha Banks make a return here. That doesn't seem likely to happen. A lot of people thought we were going to see a lot of surprise debuts on this card in general, and we saw most of them were people that Jordan Grace was kind of the one big out of nowhere.
Yeah,
name.
and I also appreciate the fact that they kind of eased off on that and wanted to showcase as much as of their already acquired talent as possible.
And they honestly didn't have that many of the NXT talent, which in previous Rumbles they've had to dip pretty deep into. But yeah, I think for the women's match, it was, I think Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne were the only 2 who were still officially NXT. So yeah, definitely a good showing by the women's roster. And yeah, 3 3/4. All right. Is it even worth talking about the next match? Because literally before it was even announced, we all knew how it was going to go. Roman Reigns defends his undisputed WWE Universal Championship against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight in a fatal 4-way match.
We were discussing it before the match, and I think Dogs might have accurately predicted that AJ was going to eat the pin. It was like, we were like, who's going to eat it and not be as adversely affected by it? It was like AJ probably. And it was like the only and it's just like the worst part was they did the ending they know everyone's tired of.
Yeah. Well, and they did it like it was a shock, was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Like they have, Orton counters a spear into an RKO. He's got Roman down. He's pinning him. The ref goes for the count. 1, 2. The ref has been yanked out of the ring by a mysterious hooded figure. He's lowering his hood. Oh my God, it's the guy who's done this in Roman's last 8 matches.
You say they know that that this is tired and played out. You say that they're aware of that. I think we all know by now that they are not at all aware of that.
That's the thing. It's like, I mean, at this point, I would be playing like, oh no, it's Sikoa. Instead of like, oh my God, it's Solo. What? Well,
that's the weirdest thing. Is
like he's here. He rode in with Roman.
Well, because as far as commentary is concerned, Roman is a dominant champion who nobody's been able to stop. It's the weirdest thing. It's like they don't watch the matches.
Yeah.
Like any other heel who does this, who has like their guys constantly come in to screw over their opponents and help them out, it would be like, oh, that dirty coward, he can't win without whoever.
There was an entire spate of matches before they finally gave up on it where they were having storyline stipulations where it's like, you guys are banned. Here's a stipulation where they can't get in. Somehow they just show up anyway. Yeah. But okay, so that means nothing. All right.
Yeah, I think McIntyre tried that with Clash at the Castle. The Usos were banned from ringside, and that's when... Was that when Solo debuted?
Probably.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we have one in storage.
Oh, they've got... We have cousins beyond cousins.
You think we're out of Samoans? Think again.
There's just a giant warehouse. Somebody opens the door, and there's a haka going on inside. Yeah, so, again, I feel bad because I almost feel bad. I can't judge this match just as an in-ring thing because I'm so done with the story that...
No, and there were some good points. Yeah. There were some great spots. The opening was great where all 3 of the challengers were arguing and Roman was just sitting back, just watching him and laughing. And then they finally reached an agreement. I was like, okay, let's just beat his ass.
And they all just turned and immediately stomp him into the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, a lot of fun moments. Orton's looking great. AJ Styles... definitely came back in fighting shape. He does a Styles clash on Roman at one point, and Roman, it takes a second to get in position. I'm not sure if they were selling that like, oh, he's struggling not to get the move, or if it was just a little awkward. But he's just standing there with no trouble with this giant Samoan just like crawling around on him to get into position. I'm like, that cannot be easy to just hold that in the pose you do to get that move ready. Love seeing LA Knight still in the main event scene. I really hope they keep him in mind for that.
I think post WrestleMania he'll have more of a shot in the upper echelon.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not a bad match for what it was. I can't get over the fact that we're all just expected to forget that Roman Reigns pinned Jey Uso at SummerSlam, and we all just knew right there. It's like, okay, Roman's going to be champion for 9 months. 9 months in which there's no chance of the world title changing hands in that time.
We're just waiting for WrestleMania 40 / this time it'll be different, we swear. Like it just seems like it's like if they renege again, I don't know what the fuck they think they're gonna do.
I mean, they didn't know what they were gonna do the first time. It was just kind of we're scared of change. We fear it, and 1,000 is a big round number. Let's get Roman across that.
Roman is gonna hold that belt until he dies.
Well, Dave, that reminds me, I need to borrow your gun. No.
If you I'm
going to go buy him a pack of cigarettes.
God damn. I was going to say, if you thought that I hadn't thought about trying to find a way to legally shoot Roman Reigns and get away with it, you'd be crazy.
What's honestly crazy is that there's a lot, but in all the years that he's held this title and had this run, nobody's sharing stories like, oh, Roman's a politicker backstage. Like nobody's like, all anybody's ever said is like he's just been a good soldier for Vince and the company, and they've wanted him to be this guy for a while. Like the lack of resentment for where he is, that's even like off the record or anonymous stuff, is he's got to be like the nicest guy in the world to everybody back there.
I don't even hate him. I'm just tired.
We can get into this at WrestleMania 40 with whatever they end up doing there, but yeah, it's I can't rate any Roman Reigns match like above a 2.5 on my scale, because for a match to work, you've got to be invested. You've got to either believe that there's a chance some outcome could happen, or you could believe that the process you can have a squash match. Like we talked at World's End about like Swerve Strickland versus Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
Obviously Swerve was going to win, and there was never a real chance of anything else happening. But the story they told of Dustin like fighting back and using like his old pros knowledge to put Swerve on his back, that's how you take an obvious outcome and still make a good story out of it. And with Roman, we know he's going to win. He's going to win the same damn way he always does, with a bloodline interference spot that the baby faces have just completely forgotten to account for. And yeah, I can't say any of his matches work on the level that the way that I score these, because I just don't care.
Well, I think his entrance was shorter.
I was going to say, it was under like 3 minutes. Good for him. He was in a hurry. They must have gotten the note on that.
Yep, 3 stars.
Yeah. 3 stars for his quicker entrance. But yeah, so I gave it a 2. It's
Sure.
just,
no disrespect to anyone involved, but it's just absolutely has to do with the presentation and the foregone conclusion.
Yeah, and there were some fun bits. Like, I liked that even though it's a fatal 4-way, anybody can pin anybody. Clearly, all 3 of the challengers wanted to pin Roman.
Yeah.
That was a nice thing that they kept trying specifically to get him. They did the stack spot, calling back to what he did with Edge and Bryan, but then AJ turned it around and knocked Roman on top of it.
Yep. There
was one bit that bugged me. So this is me trying to rules lawyer on wrestling, which is dumb, but it's how my brain occupies itself. The ref got yanked out of the ring by Solo, and that's when Solo spikes Orton and LA Knight and stacks both of them. So nobody's in the ring there.
Right.
Then he goes outside and chases AJ Styles, tries to tackle him through the barricade. Oh, by the way, when AJ dodges that and Solo goes through the barricade, he nearly kills Samantha Irvin, who was sitting back there.
Yes, he does. And everyone is very, very blasé about that fact.
I don't know if he was just moving a lot faster than anybody expected, or she just had forgotten that spot was coming.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like the only thing was they warned her, he's coming through that barrier. Just make sure you're back as far as possible.
And she was like, I get 3 or 4 feet back should be good. And then just a Samoan cannonball flies through and
centimeters.
Yeah,
missed her by the barricade missed her by centimeters.
Seriously, but. So anyway, all that to say, eventually AJ gets back in, but while that's happening, Roman is standing around near the stack, just sort of watching. The ref gets back into the ring. Why doesn't he start counting right then? Because Orton's on the ground and LA Knight's on top of him. That's a pinfall. The ref should have been counting.
You're very correct.
And rules established, if one guy's got his shoulders down and another person is on top of them, they can be literally unconscious and it still counts.
And I can tell you exactly why that didn't happen. That wasn't the finish.
Yeah, there we go.
You're right.
Let me look at the script. I'm not supposed to
lose. You're right, and they were very much hoping someone wouldn't notice that. They wanted to distract you with the plow through the security barrier.
Yeah, which they almost did, but then I was looking out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, so Roman retains. Surprise. 2 out of 5.
Yeah, but you didn't have to wait till the end of the night to be disappointed.
Well, the only thing I'll miss about Roman's title reign is when we have those Wrestle League predictions. He's the Joker. You're good for 6 points anytime he's on the card until WrestleMania. All right, next up is our other title match on the card. Logan Paul defending his United States Championship against Kevin Owens.
This is where my true disappointment came through.
All right, so what did you find disappointing about this one?
Well, okay, it's not that I'm genuinely disappointed. It's just I understand the finish. It was fine. It was fine, but I wanted Kevin to win. It's just a very much a fan moment of I want my guy to win.
Yeah.
It was a good match, a lot of good spots.
The usual disclaimer: Logan Paul's a douchebag, but he's pretty good at wrestling.
Yeah, it really is. But they had some really good spots and he also understands the crowd wants to see him humbled, and Kevin Owens delivered on a lot of that.
And also, a lot of wrestlers can play angry. What Owens plays in this match with Paul is just contempt. He's just so mad at this guy.
Seething contempt.
Just like, I don't like that I've got to fight you.
Yeah, there isn't a sort of begrudging respect. There is I need to end you.
Yeah,
kind of feeling.
I can't even enjoy beating up on you. I just need this to be done.
Back and forth until the end, where using a distraction, Logan Paul is handed brass knucks.
Yeah. So one of his stooges, whose name you could not pay me to look up, gets thrown out. Yeah, because the ref notices a guy trying to slip a foreign object to the ring. This ref's got his contacts in. Calls security out to deal with him. Waller and Grayson Waller and Austin Theory come running out. They slip the knuckles onto the apron.
Yep. So he goes to clock Kevin, but he misses. Kevin Owens gets them, clocks Logan, but this is a classic move too. Forgets to take off the knuckles while he's pinning.
Ref counts.
1, 2. What's on your hand? Disqualification.
Yep.
So I am okay with this in the sense that I feel like Logan Paul's losing at WrestleMania. I feel like the title's getting taken off him.
Yeah, I don't think he's full-time enough for them to keep him mid-guard on.
He is 100% part-time, but...
I'm sorry, are you putting it on the record right now that, one, you think Logan Paul is going to lose, and Robert, you think Roman Reigns is going to lose at WrestleMania?
I will say this, Logan Paul has been willing to lose. He's gone down in a fair number of matches.
If Roman is going to retain at WrestleMania, they're doing the worst storytelling they can right now, because they're once again...
Listen, I want to be wrong. You have no idea. But I think that we all know in our heart of hearts that Logan Paul and Roman Reigns are retaining at WrestleMania.
You're right, Dave. What wrestling needs is more cynicism.
It would be a colossal mistake and terrible storytelling for Roman to retain, which is not to say it won't happen. But if smart people are allowed to and decide to make good decisions, yeah, they'll do what they should have done a year ago, and he'll drop the belt. Because I can't imagine they've got another year of this in them.
I really think the Roman one will more than likely happen because they want to have it happen at the big round number that is 40.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thought there. I think the Logan Paul thing is I don't know. I have a feeling that's where it's headed. Now I could be wrong about the Paul one.
Yeah. That could go either way, but yeah, I don't think
wrestling booking decisions are also all about spite, and I understand that they could go any other way. Despite because
spiting me personally, I felt,
because it's just like other shows on television where it's like if you figure out their big twist, they get all pissy and upset. And it's like, well, now we have to change it because they did what we wanted them to do and used actual logic to deduce the way things are going.
But it needs to be unpredictable is one of the worst creative impulses anybody can have.
Isn't that the weirdest thing that people on regular TV shows fell victim to needing to swerve people?
Yeah.
Like wrestling. Like if you're not popping some big surprise, you're.
Which again, credit them for booking the Royal Rumbles that way, where did not feel the need to hinge it on like, oh my gosh, this person's here, or hey, we got this person signed. So. Again, I want to believe that whatever else is going wrong with the company right now, or whatever else they're trying desperately not to fix because it will expose them to awkward legal scrutiny, they seem like they're a little bit on a better foot of creative direction going into the new year.
I feel like, despite his moral failings, Triple H has a better idea of letting those kinds of things happen.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
So I gave this one 3.5. Again, thought it was a solid match. I liked the ending. I don't love DQ finishes on pay-per-view, but that was a fun one. Just that he's got it won, but he makes that mistake at the very last second. A dusty finish can work sometimes.
It's also that fun moment that the face / person the crowd is behind is like, I'm not gonna cheat, but you cheated first, so I get to cheat back, and that retribution, that karma. Is a nice bit. And
in some way, him being bad at cheating is like his own mark of virtue.
Yeah.
If he were sneakier, he would have won.
He was just tired and worn out.
Yeah. All right, so this brings us to the main event of the evening, the Men's Royal Rumble match. Let's see, we start with a double dose of Usos with Jey Uso and Jimmy at number 1 and 2.
Or if you're looking at the color coding, the good Uso and the evil Uso.
So here's what's weird about that, because
no yeet.
I haven't watched. Okay, those shirts are amazing. Yeet and no yeet. I love that.
Inside you, there are two wolves.
I forget who it was. I think Will Washington or one of the wrestling journalists had a picture of himself holding it and like looking from one to the other, just looking like he just could not make up his mind. Yeah, so what's weird about that is that it's, brother versus brother. Jay's the face, Jimmy's the heel. I thought Jimmy's whole reason for turning on Jay at SummerSlam was that he wanted to protect his brother from becoming like Roman with winning the title. That it was like I did it for your own good because I love you justification. But they're in the ring here, and he's just like smirking and being the heel, and Jay's just righteously trying to beat him
every
up.
time someone beats up his brother, he's like, yeah, that's great. Let's be friends. And
yeah, and I'm just like, wait, I thought your whole thing was, I don't know.
But you forget, he's evil.
Yeah, which is honestly a shame.
It's
because
the corrupting influence of the bloodline.
Yeah, there it is.
Whatever. Don't take that as, I'm not doing their writing for them. If they wanted to actually be consistent about it, they could be.
Whoa, just snapped my water bottle shut. That was loud.
Yeah, snap into it.
But yeah, so they're 1 and 2. Grayson Waller comes out for number 3, cuts a promo a little bit before getting in the ring.
Giving him a mic.
He immediately gets super kicked. So at first I thought but he hadn't actually gone over the rope yet. So he just gets knocked off the apron and then gets up and re-enters. Number 4 is a returning Andrade.
Yeah, that was a good surprise.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just announced as Andrade, so not just, like Cien Almas or El Idolo, just Andrade.
I think they're just going to keep him at one name for right now.
Oh, fair enough. We'll see if we feel like a third one going in. But yeah, so he's back. Looked good.
Yeah.
Not a remarkable showing, I would say.
No, but I think the main purpose was he's back.
Yeah.
Also, his headgear was pretty cool.
That was cool, yeah. They're still keeping him with the cool entrance gear. Mm-hmm. Number 5, Carmelo Hayes out of NXT.
Yeah.
Number 6, Shinsuke Nakamura, who still goes here. Number 7, Santos Escobar. Number 8, Karrion Kross. Number 9, Dirty Dom Mysterio.
Still not used to him with his hair grown out.
Yeah. I mean, might as well give it a try. He's just he's going through his evolutionary phases of hair with WWE. Number 9, Dirty Dom Mysterio. Number 10, Carlito, who is still chasing Santos, who responds by just immediately rolling under the bottom rope, and I think staying out of the ring until Carlito gets eliminated by somebody else.
Carlito, who wrestled the entire time with an apple in his trunks.
Serious choking hazard once he took a bite out of it, and serious something else hazard before. Let's see. Carlito, I think, gets eliminated by Bobby Lashley, who comes in at number 11. Mm-hmm. Lashley also eliminates Cross, and apparently they've been feuding as well because after he eliminates Cross grabs his ankles from the outside and just drags him out.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. You could have said anything to me, and I would have to have taken it.
Yeah, I need to start slipping that in.
Yeah, do it
more and more.
Lie
until
to me.
We've built my whole alternate universe of what's happening on television. The Street Profits, who aren't actually in the match, which is a bummer because I would have loved to see Montez Ford get to be in this one.
They come out and break it up.
Yeah, so they come out. The Authors of Pain, I think, are on Cross's side now. They don't run exactly, but they lumber with great purpose down to the ring as well.
Well, it looks weird if a menacing guy like that runs. He has to stalk toward the ring menacingly.
Yeah, so all 6 guys just go brawling back up the ramp, and right as they get there, Ludwig Kaiser is entering with the Imperium behind, and he just sort of steps to one side and looks down in this kind of like...
He sidesteps because the riffraff are brawling.
Yeah, just the most European look of, who let you onto our continent? But yeah, so he makes it to the ring. Number 13, Austin Theory. Number 14, Finn Balor. Number 15, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Stops to do his whole pyro sequence.
He does get a pyro, like that's just written in.
That's something that bugs me about Rumble matches, is where it's like a lot of people get the idea, where it's just like they will come out and do a little thing, but then it's like, I'm into the match. I gotta ditch my stuff, get in the ring. Some people just come out straight away. I think I think this one thing I like less about modern Rumbles is they have less of the idea of I need to get in the ring and stake my claim.
I think my favorite image is still Nikki Cross coming out for one a year or two back and just running with in Lancelot and Monty Python style, just like full tilt, arms going.
Just pure.
Let me at him.
It is almost that scene where just the guard is standing and just looks out, just off in the distance, and just keeps getting closer until finally just comes in and just beats him savagely to death.
Yeah, and so we let's see. I think we do get that eventually. I'll come up on him in a moment. Bronson Reed, number 16.
Yeah, he had a good showing.
He did. Kofi Kingston, number 17. Looks like they've retired Kofi's elimination save bit after 2 years in a row where it went bad. Who was it?
And the women's sort of got one. It was...
Oh, Kairi Sane had a moment.
She was struggling. She tried. She tried desperately.
I was trying to figure out if that was supposed to be a save that went wrong, or
I think
if
it was just supposed to be a desperation thing.
Yeah, because she goes over and she catches herself on the apron.
Like 2 inches above the ground.
Yeah, not with the ropes. Like, she doesn't have the ropes. She's just got her, like, elbows on the apron and is just trying to use her core strength to keep her legs from touching the ground. She does it for, like,
I think it's that kind of spot where you just kind of watch it to go, well, is that actually going to work? No. Okay.
Yeah, wait, a human being can't do that.
But it was like almost. It's like, she might have been able to do it.
She does it for, like, 6 or 7 seconds, which is 9 or 10 seconds longer than I could have done it. So let's see. Kofi comes in.
Even if I could hold myself up like that, I was like, well, I live here now.
I could do it if there was a chair under me. Yeah, doing it now. Podcast audience at home, you'd be so impressed if you could see this.
You would be super impressed.
Let's see. Kofi Kingston, he does eliminate Ludwig Kaiser with a pretty cool SOS kind of over the rope. Kaiser hits the ground just as Gunther is entering, and so
he is gonna hear about that later.
He gets his own look of kind of disturbed disappointment.
Like, you were supposed to be in there to help me when I got in.
Yeah. And Gunther immediately throws Kofi out, and he just hits the ground, and he's gone. But let's see. Number 19, Ivar. All right, number 20.
Ivar had such a good show. He Bam Bam Bigelow'd.
He did. Like, just the big guy doing cartwheels and, like,
he was having a ball.
Oh, my gosh. So fun to see him. I know that I think the main reason he's doing single stuff is because Eric is out with an injury. But, yeah, it just seems like he's really seizing the moment to do the singles thing.
That dude was floating around the ring. It was amazing. I loved it.
A lot of fun. I wish we'd gotten to see a little more of his stuff. Yeah, so number 20, Braun Breaker comes out, and you were talking about that, like, charge to the ring on a mission. That was his energy.
Yes.
Like, he runs in, spears 2 guys.
I mean, it's important to keep up that energy when you're, I don't know, filling in.
Yeah, when they'd already written BRO on the call sheet and then found out someone was going to make it, and it was just like, how do we finish? But
in
how many Ks? Nobody knows. But yeah, he honestly, great showing for him. I would say, like, of the people who got the most, like, maybe of exposure to a new audience, I would say he's the one who's
definitely
coming into 2024 with the most energy, because he's, like, giving guys spine busters, spears. He throws out I think both Omos and Ivar, just wrecking machine. Like, the word is, and we were joking about this a second ago, but this was going to be Brock Lesnar's spot.
Yes.
Until Brock Lesnar was implicated.
Disinvited for reasons.
And so they reportedly just kind of copy-pasted.
Because of the implications.
Vince, it sounds like this woman doesn't want to send me these explicit text messages. Well, no, it's just because she knows what'll happen if she doesn't. Wink. I feel dirty.
Yeah, it's rare for me to say something and then feel bad about it.
Yeah.
What is this?
That poor woman.
I don't like this feeling.
It's empathy. Yeah. It's not fun.
It's what separates you from the Vince McMahon, and why he would kill you given half a chance.
Oh, I can't finish that sentence. Never mind. Let's go.
So, yeah, great showing from Braun. He does eventually get tossed out after limiting Omos and throwing him over. Dom Mysterio gets him from behind and tosses him out. And reportedly that was what was going to happen with Brock, setting up a feud with him and Dom at Elimination Chamber. And I would be completely fine if they just keep Braun going
you know,
all the way
that whole
there.
thing it probably still will be like Dom is terrified of Braun.
Yeah, just him running away and just getting chased by. My only wish is I was hoping when he debuted on the main roster they'd let him be a Steiner again. Like, no. But no, that's not going to happen.
They don't own the name Steiner.
Nope. You can't be a Pillman. You can't be a Steiner.
Nope.
But Braun is so mad about this that as he's stomping out, he stopped. Oh, actually, we skipped over one thing that happens while he's still in the ring. Because Omos is number 21, and then number 22 is Pat McAfee.
Yes.
Who is at commentary when his music plays.
And apparently, by all due reports, he was not informed that he was going to be number 22.
I've heard that, and I can't quite believe it, but everybody seems to be saying it.
That's the report, that he had no idea. And he kind of goes up to get in the ring like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then he's like,
and Braun and Omos are like staring each other down in the middle, and they just turn slowly to look at him.
There wasn't. No, it was Gunther. Gunther was there.
Gunther was there too.
They were all staring at him like, you going to do it? You going to do it?
And then he climbs over the top rope and then seems to think about it and starts to go back in.
I can't do this. They're going to murder me. I get to out. And then he's like, no, wait, I'm going to do it.
And then takes another look and starts, no, I've got other stuff I can do.
And then he eliminates himself.
He does a Drew Carey. Yeah, so that's him.
Braun, I love that Braun was basically smirking the whole time. Like, you know what's going to happen if you get any closer, right?
No defensive line for you here, buddy. Yeah, so, but after Braun gets eliminated by Dom, he's so angry that on his way out, he spears the ever-loving hell out of number 23, JD McDonough.
Yep.
And just leaves him lying broken and crumpled outside the ring. But wait, it's number 24, and coming to the right Rumble this time, it's R-Truth. Charging out, seeing poor JD McDonough in need,
Stablemate.
helpfully picking him up, throwing him in the ring where he is immediately thrown back out by Jey Uso.
What are you doing in here? You got to be in the Rumble, man.
And it's like, okay, R-Truth's got his bit. Oh no, he's not done, because he climbs up on the apron and throws his arm over and reaches out for Dominic to give him a tag, to let him in the ring.
And he keeps trying to explain to us, like, this is not a tag match. You just get in the ring.
And I think Dom's getting like beaten up by Gunther or something. Like,
and finally he's like, fine. And he delivers a hot tag to R-Truth. And the crowd goes wild.
Again, they were quiet for a lot of this, but man, that got him up, and he just hops over, tries the 5 moves of doom, as a tribute to his childhood hero, John Cena.
I love that. I love that every R-Truth running gag still hits.
Yeah,
every time.
Okay, I was watching this with Shelby Death Ray Patterson of This Is a Takeover, and she's admitted that she doesn't really get R-Truth. Doesn't appeal to her. Fair enough. No comedies for everybody.
I'm sorry, she doesn't like fun.
That's my take on it. But no, for me, it's not just that he does goofy bits. A lot of wrestlers do goofy bits and they fall flat. With Truth, it's the commitment, just the earnest sincerity of all of it.
It is what makes good comedy work, especially amongst comedians. You can tell when a comedian isn't even committing hard enough for it to be funny. You can tell when they're just kind of trying to coast. But commitment to the bit, especially when you're doing something like that in a live performance, when you're in it, it hits, and the audience is going with it because they see you are absolutely going for it.
Yeah, and that's what I always just love about Truth, because he has just built so much, well, for lack of a better word, truth into just all of the goofiness of his character.
Like the pre-show bit I told you about, like with the softballs in the batting cage. He explains to the interviewer what he's doing, and then the guy's like, "Yeah, I see what you're doing, but why are you doing that?" And he just re-explains it to him as though it's like that's what
this is perfectly obvious.
Like not even condescendingly. He just re-explains it to him like you get it now. Like I explained it as best as this is as clear as it's gonna get, and he just leaves him to it. It's just like it's perfect.
Yeah. And he's making friends.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say what makes it work is I can't remember what the anecdote was. I forget who he was taught. I think it might have been Bruce Campbell in his first autobiography, where he talks about trying to figure out how it was either him or someone or another actor trying to figure out how it makes sense. He was talking about how his character actions don't make sense. He's like, they don't have to make sense. He was told by another veteran. He's like, they have to make sense to the character. And as long as the internal logic works for the character, that's what makes it work. You know, that kind of thing.
Nice.
And it's like when you're committed to a comedy bit, as long as it makes sense to, like when he's explaining what he's doing with the baseballs, it's like it makes sense to him.
Yeah. And just like when The Miz comes out at number 25, R-Truth immediately just sees, hey, another teammate.
Yes, exactly.
And briefly they reform Awesome Truth and have a happy moment until he realizes that The Miz is about to eliminate Dom, also his teammate.
He's like, no, you can't eliminate Dom. He's my friend.
And nobody's quite sure how to resolve that, but number 26, Damian Priest, comes in and just immediately throws Truth out.
All right, well, that does solve the problem in a way.
Look forward to the ensuing fallout. So... number 27 is CM Punk making his televised return to a WWE match for the first time in 10 years. As they
people pointed out, he left WWE on the 27th of January over 10 years ago, and he's coming out to 27.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it seemed like a very specific number pick.
So yeah, he does come out, and I think he almost immediately eliminates Dom. Let's see. Then number 28, we have Ricochet, who comes out, who doesn't really get to do a lot. I did love Ricochet's elimination spot where Drew McIntyre, who's number 29, comes out.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like he uses Ricochet's own flippiness against him. Ricochet tries to kick him on the ropes. Drew just grabs his leg, hurls it up, and Ricochet can't stop himself from backflipping over the ropes and all the way out of the ring. Just like, no, why did you use my flubberization against me? Yeah, number 30 is Sami Zayn coming back, I think, for the first time since McIntyre attacked him after War Games. Nice pop from the crowd there as well.
That was exciting. I loved it.
Good to see Sammy back. And honestly, still good to see that. I'm very happy that they've kept the momentum on him as a singles guy after the Bloodline, because I thought there was a real chance that, like, okay, they'll have a little bit of a tag run, they'll lose the belts, and then it'll be like Kofi Kingston after he lost the WWE title. So like, okay, we're done with your bit. Now go back to where we wanted you to be. And so far, Sammy's getting to stay as just like they recognize. Yeah, we've got somebody that the crowd is pretty much always going to connect with.
Yep.
All right, we get down to the final four. Drew eliminates Sammy, and we're down to Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk.
CM Punk, who says he's not losing to Dusty's kid.
Cue the Always Sunny in Philadelphia music.
Someone did that on Twitter. I loved it. He's like, he basically yells, "I didn't come back after 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid."
CM Punk loses to Dusty's kid.
Smash cut to the exact quote with the music.
Final sequence is fun on this because it logically, Drew McIntyre is the freshest one in there, so he's just running wild over everybody else. Hits Punk with a move that apparently tore Punk's left triceps.
Yeah, apparently that came out after the fact. It was like, I think it was the Claymore that might have done it, or was it something different?
Apparently there was like I think a running DDT.
Okay.
People went back to see the clip, and you could see Punk immediately like clutch his arm and roll to the corner and talk to a ref.
And apparently this time it was the other tricep, not the previous one.
Not the one that he tore in his match with. It was his match with Moxley, right? Was where that happened. Yeah, before Brawl Out.
It's weird this keeps happening.
It really is.
CM Punk or fall apart, man.
Now, give him credit. He apparently decided he was going to go ahead and finish the match.
No, he did.
He tosses Drew.
I'm not poking fun because I don't see now. See, because now the wrestling brain is kicked in with most of the IWC, and it's like, how much of this is a work? Because they've apparently, as of Raw, they've been pushing it. That Drew in a promo and with CM Punk said, "I prayed for this to happen, and
I went home and slept like a baby."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome."
It seems like he's definitely going to miss wrestling. Like the injury itself seems pretty legit.
Yeah, no, it's legit. Yeah.
But
I'm betting they're working it just enough so that if there's a chance he can be at WrestleMania, that they'll work something.
Like if they can get him in the door, like the Friday before to set it up, they'll do that. So he eliminates Drew. Gunther and Cody go at it for a bit. Cody is able to get Gunther over the edge, and then he and Punk have maybe a 3 or 4 minute sequence.
Yeah.
Cody, no stranger to fighting with only one good arm, hits a crossroads on him, and then weirdly just decides to get up and like celebrate and shake the ropes. Like, what are you doing? Throw him, man. But he when he goes back, Punk hits him with a GTS and then a pedigree just for extra effect.
Now, at what point during all of this did he lose the tooth?
Right, the tooth. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Apparently,
I have no knowledge of this.
Cody ate a Claymore kick from Drew, and somebody noticed the close-up of him lying on the mat a second later. There's a small object lying close to his forehead.
Oh, no.
He apparently got a tooth knocked out of his face by that Claymore.
Could have been worse. Could have gone up his nose.
Why couldn't Drew have aimed a little down to the left and gotten the tattoo off his neck?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's no hard feelings, but that's not a good look for Drew to do that to two people in one night.
Yeah. So the triceps apparently may have just been like the way Punk landed. It doesn't seem like it, but the Claymore.
That's a little more on him.
A little bit. So that's when Punk drops the I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid, and then immediately gets thrown out by Cody. And they've shown us both.
Well, he works his way out of the GTS and gets him.
Yeah. And we've seen both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are in skyboxes kind of looking down and watching. And as soon as Cody wins, he stands up on the ropes and does not point to the sign. He turns and he points to Roman, just calling it right then and there. And also with CM Punk lying on the outside, freshly eliminated, he does the too sweet gesture from the Bullet Club, and then Kenny Omega's finger guns. So a little shout out to his friends in the Elite.
Oh, speaking of post-Rumble shot, there was a really good one after the Women's Rumble of all the the last eliminated women
just
kind of
leaning
leaning
against the
wall.
barricade.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that dejected look because, it would hurt to give it all that effort and just not have it come together.
To be right there at the end, yeah.
Especially if you're that close. You wouldn't just immediately get up and happily walk back to the stage.
It looked, they did a lot of great work.
Yeah, really, really good production side on this show. Whatever else I'll say about it, like they
if nothing else, there was an absolute minimum of quick cuts.
Yes, the absence of Kevin Dunn is already much appreciated.
Yeah. I didn't feel sick watching certain matches.
Yeah, there was a bit where AJ Styles grabbed a chair and started laying into Roman Reigns during the Fatal 4-Way, and we kept one camera across multiple chair shots. It was the craziest thing.
So yeah, hell of a show.
Good show overall. Yeah, I gave the Men's Rumble. I actually gave that one. I didn't write it down there. Switch over to my spreadsheet. I gave that one 3.5. I liked it a lot. I think there were a few. There was a lot of. It felt like safe moments. Like we talked about the stuff that I loved. There was a lot that just kind of felt like, okay, pace out until this happens. Like,
right.
And some stuff like Jey Uso had the longest run in this match. He made it just over 50 minutes, and then kind of just got unceremoniously thrown over by Gunther.
There are some points where some people may have gotten lost. Because it's like the entire idea is they're supposed to pace themselves to just to keep things going until it's time for elimination or for someone to come in. Yeah. So it's like if things seem like they're slogging a little bit, that is a problem with them keeping up with where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's tricky. And honestly, for all the moving pieces on that, the fact that it works at all is something of a miracle.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah. So I overall love the show. I do think. When it comes to CM Punk, I saw somebody make the observation that the joke on him now is that like you said he breaks easily, he's injury prone, and somebody was like, well, how's that different from Danielson, who in the last 2 years had a concussion, an orbital bone, and a broken arm,
or Omega, who I mean has had that issue quite frequently as well.
I think the one thing that has really made it that's tied it to Punk is that for Punk, whether through just fate, curse, whatever, it always happens right when he's on the launch pad of what's supposed to be like the next great stage of his career.
Yeah.
Like Kenny, his body was falling to pieces inside of him, but he still held the AEW title all the way through the end of that feud with Hangman, dropped it, and then went to get healed up.
I'm just talking about recently with the diverticulitis into the other issues that he requires surgery for.
Yeah.
There's something he's got to have surgery for, but he can't until his diverticulitis subsides.
Which, wow, it's kind of the opposite of that joke in The Simpsons about Mr. Burns, where he's got all the illnesses trying to push through at once. With Kenny, it's like, well, he can't get treated for like crippling medical ailment number 4 until crippling medical ailment number 2 improves. And
as soon as we find the cure for 17 stab wounds.
But yeah, no, with Punk, it really is just like, he wins the AEW championship from Hangman for the first time, and then the next Wednesday on Dynamite, fractures his foot, and then he heals up, comes back, wins the championship from Moxley, tears his tricep, and brawl out.
I think part of it, at least for me, is the fact that this continually happens. He doesn't seem to take any extra special safeguards and still thinks, oh yeah, no, when I'm back, I should still be number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we going to be a little more careful so that something else, whatever.
Somebody pointed out on Twitter that medicine's gotten so good and like people are taking better care of themselves compared to like what wrestlers in their 40s looked like a while ago. We've just sort of forgotten 45 is not a good age to be a pro athlete.
No.
And especially like people give grief to like, oh,
and
how
there's
Hogan,
R-Truth just shattering all sorts of conventions.
Yeah, well, that dude's just immortal. He's in his own.
He might be.
His own category.
He deserves to be.
When they do the 40 years of WrestleMania, they need to have like an animation of R-Truth in the crowd looking exactly the same just for everyone.
He's there with Hogan slamming Andre.
But like people give grief to like Hogan and those guys when they, were in their like 40s and 50s who would just do like the 2 or 3 basic moves.
Oh, but no. In the 90s when they were hitting their 40s, they were considered way too old, put out the pasture.
Yeah.
Because that was about the time when Vince was de-emphasizing them, and then they went over to WCW.
Yeah.
And because, like, Macho Man specifically, I think he was in his early 40s when Vince was like, okay, we're just going to keep you on commentary now. He wanted to wrestle some more. And when he had finally had enough of that, he went to WCW, had another multi-year run.
Yeah. And it's a challenge because, like, you can see guys like, you know, like Edge or Christian who are still, like, coming back. And it's like, thank God these guys are getting a chance when we all thought they were going to have to retire 10 or 15 years ago.
But they also, I mean, as a result, they've had to do, like, the exercise regimes that you hear about they do for getting in shape for Marvel movies, which are, by all accounts, awful.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised the Geneva Convention allows them.
It's like if you miss a day, you're fucked.
Yeah. So I'm just going to real quick overall pay-per-view, I give it 3 out of 5 confused R-Truths. Fun show overall.
I feel like there was a lightness in the air after the breaking of the news. Because it was like, that's awful. Wait, he's gone? Okay.
And I think there's also an element that for, you know, whoever knew about it at the corporate level, I am sure a lot of talent might have heard rumors, but probably the specifics, nobody knew anything about that.
There's also a feeling of hopefulness that it's like, wow, they acted that quick on Vince. Hopefully that works its way down.
And that seems to be the vibe that TKO is putting out. That
it's not that I've got 100% faith in that, but it's just I mean, really, with enough scrutiny on them right now, I feel like they'll be forced to.
It is comforting to know that after he was forced out in 22, we were all like, when is he coming back? Like, again, this is the cynic in me.
Yeah.
I can't remember, like, there was a feeling of, okay, Vince is gone, things are really going to change. And I remember being the cynic going, is he gone, though? Is he really gone? What do you know, 6 months later, Vince is back. Now I was reading, because of the way those the contracts with TKO and Endeavor work, Vince's majority shareholding is done with.
Yeah, he doesn't have the power to vote himself back in the way he did.
He is well and truly out, aside from the rumors about Bruce Pritchard being his proxy. So at least I don't get to be a cynic about that one.
That was Sasha Banks making that statement, by the way. Sasha / Mercedes Moné.
Didn't Ronda Rousey also?
No, it was Ronda.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I confused something. It was Ronda.
Yeah, I will say, and in a way, if we got a few minutes, what happened at the press show or the press conference after? Kind of depressing, but kind of hopeful in the long run as well, because you had something that rarely happens. People at a wrestling scrum actually asked tough questions.
Oh, yeah.
That clearly the person at the table didn't want them to. So.
Oh, you mean Hunter Hearst? Everything is fine. Helmsley, dog sitting around fire.
Now, look, my sympathy for him is going to be qualified by the fact that he, at the very least, had to be aware that something was going on, and even if maybe he didn't have the power to do it, you always have an option to do something. Like he didn't have the power to fire Vince, but you can place a call to a reporter. You can do something, and by all accounts, as far as we know, he did not really do that much. So my sympathy for him is limited. That said, there are not good answers when the facts people are asking you about are that bad. There are, however, bad answers and much, much worse answers, and I kind of feel like he leans towards the latter side, because while he could have just said, there have been some serious investigations, we're looking into this, obviously we take these allegations very seriously and are going to make sure we do everything we can that...
You mean like Nick Khan was doing the whole time?
Right, just give the lawyer's prepared statement answer. Triple H decided he was just going to say, first off, that, well, he hadn't really read them, hadn't looked at them too closely, which is an odd thing to say when someone accuses the grandfather of your children of being a sexual predator. Also kind of weird, then why wasn't Brock on the show if you didn't know the details of what these accusations were?
This is veering into government spokesperson plausible deniability.
Yeah. And then when people kind of kept pushing on it, he says... Well, look, we've made a $5 billion deal with Netflix this week. We're going to focus on the positives. Focus on the positives. It makes me think of that line from The Office, the end of the British first season, where David Brent's telling them all, well, there's bad news and there's good news. The bad news is that our location will be downsized, and those of you who can't relocate will probably lose your jobs. The good news is I'm getting promoted. You're still thinking about the bad news, aren't you? And Triple H is just like, oh, we made all this money. The Rock's on our board. Are you guys still thinking about the sex trafficking?
The response to that should have been people reading text messages to him.
Yeah.
That was immediate. My thought is like...
And, I mean, you want an example of, like, how to answer this question as best you can. Cody Rhodes got that, and I think he just sort of gave he's like, this is very serious stuff to talk about. Obviously, we we here in the locker room are trying to do the best we can to put on a good show, but we also want to create, like, Cody is, whatever else, Cody's a born, how to put this, the positive kinds of con man skills that make you a good pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Cody has learned how to take that into public as well, and not in a bad way. He's very good at presenting himself and playing like the good guy. And Triple H, I really would not have expected him to be this awkward about this and just sort of like, it's not even that he was giving like rehearsed legal answers. Rehearsed legal answers would have been better. He just seemed annoyed that he was being asked about this very serious thing.
And the only defense I'll offer is the person in question is his father-in-law, and he spends out of business hours in close proximity to him. I understand that's not an easy position, but still, man, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
It also feels to me as though he spent, I don't know, the last 72 hours being inundated with all of this and just trying to put a show on that weekend.
Yeah.
And probably helping his wife deal with it too.
All fair to say, but when you get that job and when you make yourself the public face of the company,
that's where the sympathy ends. It's like, this is your job, man.
Yeah.
This is the horrific thing you have to brace yourself for, especially in the wrestling industry.
Like, if somebody tracked down Shane McMahon's house and like banged on his door and like shoved a microphone in his face as he was like walking his kids to school or whatever, I'd have some sympathy for him, because that dude left the company and is just trying to be somewhere else.
I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like I don't know if he'd give an actual answer like this, but somehow some of his answer would be like, so they found out, huh? So they got the evidence, huh?
What took him so long? Yeah, so again, I don't know what the remedy is for something like this, because a terrible thing happened and it can't be made to unhappen. So obviously there's got to be a combination of like people who did this, who perpetrated, who protected it, need to be punished, but you've also got to make a change in this corporate culture to keep it from happening going forward, and that's not an easy thing, as we have tragically seen over and over in the face of Me Too and speaking out.
Here's the thing: Vince McMahon is gone, and I don't know how they're going to dance around it. But if they ever talk, like I said, there's supposed to be a documentary coming out about him. They're gonna have to say why.
Yeah.
And they're probably gonna sugarcoat it as hard as they can, which is bad news for me. I'm a diabetic.
All I know is that I'm sure that every single lawyer for the WWE, for TKO Endeavor, for all of the parties involved, spent the majority of that week washing down Rolaids with Pepto-Bismol.
Here's a fun little analogy. Yesterday I was riding with somebody, and they had it on a 2000s pop channel, and in between some of the songs, they would spotlight things that had like highlights of different years. So it was like the highlights of 2004 and 2005, and they did one for 2001, and they hit a few highlights, and I was like, and what else happened? Oh, weird. Anyway. That's what I feel like it's going to be like whenever we hear about, and it's like Vince McMahon and his legacy.
Yeah. It's just going to be like, there was the Attitude Era. And
this is the thing that just got him caught. Like, I know Robert knows about this. There's a series on Behind the Bastards when they highlight various horrible people. They did a series on Vince McMahon, a 6-part series that only caught up to just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of other people who have talked about it. It's like there have been scandals, maybe not even directly involving him, but happened under the WWE, WWF roof.
I think it's going back to the 80s. I think Rita Chatterton was the woman who talked.
She was the first prominent one.
Yeah.
It goes back further. There's also the Ring Boy scandal, where a lot of young men in crisis were brought in to potentially learn skills to get into the wrestling business, and were. They were taken advantage of.
Yeah.
It never stopped. It never stopped.
What a note to end this podcast on.
Anyway, we're on the road to WrestleMania, ladies and gentlemen.
How many years of WrestleMania?
40. How many years of problems and allegations?
Who's going to retain the belt on night 2?
Look, I'm not.
Where you
I can't say for sure. I know what I'm hoping for if they have any ounce of merit left in them.
I just cannot imagine that they would do this for another year. Like a Roman part. Oh God, I'm jinxing it so bad right now just talking. But like, he's got one foot out the door. He's part-timing it now. They can't do that for 2 years in a row.
I'm sorry.
He's gonna drop dead with that belt on.
We're coming up to time, so we can all bitch about Roman. I've done it for many episodes, but all that came into my head just now is I know that occasionally we make references on this show to things that other people probably don't watch, or might seem like inside jokes. But it just reminds me of an episode of Bob's Burgers where Gail is talking about her very problematic cat, Mr. Business, and after a whole episode of him causing shit and Gail like trying to stick up for him and rescue him, at the end of the episode she goes, "Oh, just a few more years till you're dead." That's what I feel like every Roman Reigns discussion ends on. Like it's just right around the corner he'll lose that, but it's just right. We're just a little bit long. The next pay-per-view, the next WrestleMania, the next Superstar.
I don't know. He's tenacious. He's beaten back leukemia twice. I mean.
Anyway, Robert,
right.
If people want to follow you online, where can they do that at? That isn't Twitter.
Well, the site that is not Twitter but is called X now. I am at RedbeardRob01.
Oh, look at that loophole.
Check and mate.
Edit that out.
Sorry!
hate you.
Exclamation point.
And Chris, what about you?
No.
Okay, you. Instead of just saying if you want to follow me online, I almost just said you want to follow me online.
I dare you.
You ain't ready.
If you would like to follow me online, best place to do that is on Instagram at DB Hensley. Robert, vamp for a minute while I pull up our outro. You'd think I'd remember it after all these years.
All right, so coming up, we have Elimination Chamber coming at you from Perth, Australia, with Roman not showing up, CM Punk injured, Seth still recovering from his meniscus. I feel like they're going to have a little diminished, but
Getting your money's worth, Australia.
still loving Elimination Chamber.
Either way, we're going to Bluey Land.
Speaking of eliminations, there's going to be a Saudi show coming up at some point between that and WrestleMania. And then the first weekend of March will be AEW Revolution, which I will be attending live. First time I've ever been to a pay-per-view live, along with Gina Brafford and Shelby Ray Patterson of This Is a Takeover and Shelby's husband, Ted. So that kind of on-the-ground correspondence that you pay for.
It's going to be Sting's last show. I mean, not because of Robert, but it's just because he's retired.
If I can help it, it will be.
And then, next week is NXT. Actually, I think it's happening like this weekend. Is
NXT Vengeance Day, I think, on Sunday.
Yep. So next week, Gina and Shelby were in here. Will be in here. I can't talk tonight, guys. I'm sorry. They'll be in here recording next week for This Is a Takeover.
Yay. So a Saudi show, huh? Who will survive? I mean, it's not Survivor Series. Who's going to live?
Womp. If you want to keep up with Long Walk Productions, you can visit us online at longwalk.us to see more of our original works or hear past episodes that are no longer streaming. You can follow the YouTube links in the show notes. Thank you very much for listening, and if you enjoy this show or any of the shows in the Long Walk Podcast Network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Chris. And thank you all of those who are listening. This has been This Is a Work.
No yeet.